My name is Daniel Salamon, and I'm a co-founder and CEO of Northernmost. We make machines for the transportation and preservation of kidneys for kidney transplant. Next slide, please. So kidney care is a big deal. Kidney disease is one of the largest disease states in the world. And at least in kidney transplant, if you ever hear a kidney transplant story, people tend to focus a lot on the waiting list. So there are tens of thousands of people who are waiting for a kidney transplant. But in reality, a lot of people, close to 1 million people in North America, 7 million people in the world, suffer from end-stage renal disease, and the great majority of them are treated on dialysis. Dialysis is generally clinically inferior, it's less desirable, less pleasant, and a lot more expensive than transplant. It's actually so expensive that the United States spends about 1% of their entire budget, not the health budget, entire US budget goes into kidney care. Next slide, please. Thanks, Michael. So I mentioned a few things about kidney transplants, but kidney transplants patients do really well. So they get, in average, about a decade of life. Some people require multiple transplants. And kidney care, kidney transplant, although initially more expensive, over the long term is actually also a lot cheaper than staying on dialysis. Next slide, please. Because of the need to match the right kidneys with the right recipients and some issues around the equity of allocation of kidneys in a very restrained supply market, very few kidneys for a lot of people needing them, kidneys travel long distances. In the United States, which is the largest market, kidneys fly about 80% of the time in order to be matched with the right recipient. And kidneys are the only organ that gets shipped unattended. So they actually get shipped in cargo. All the other organs fly on fancy jets and with expensive tools. But kidneys go in cargo. And when they are on airplanes, they are always in an icebox or a static cold storage. Because of that, a lot of the kidneys don't actually make the journey. And about 30% of kidneys end up in the trash. So 30% of kidneys that are recovered from donors are trashed or discarded. On the left there, you'll see a picture of the LifePort kidney transporter. It was our team in a different life 20 years ago who discovered, developed, and commercialized this tool. It is the most used machine preservation tool in the world. It is currently the gold standard in kidney preservation. It's significantly better clinically. It creates more cost-effective outcomes. And top-level evidence, so 20 years of real-life evidence trials have shown, as you can see on the top there, that the benefit of kidney perfusion only takes place when the kidneys are perfused or pumped all the way from the donor to the recipient. And currently, only 30% of those kidneys, and these are out of the kidneys that even make it, get pumped end-to-end. So people, what do? People use static cold storage. An icebox is actually not as fancy as you see it there. It's just a container filled with fluid that the kidneys sit in. And for that reason, more and more get discarded. Next, please. So this is our machine that we're developing. It enables end-to-end machine perfusion, and we're building it in such a way that it can be sent unattended from any donor to any recipient, and all kidneys should be able to benefit from this. It's made up of two basic parts. On the bottom, you'll see a durable base unit that can get used again and again. And the part that the kidney is connected to is a disposable set on the left there. In terms of regulatory approach, we do have an FDA pathway of 510K with predicate. It's an open pathway that other people have gone down on. So it's a low burden of showing the evidence that it's just equivalent to the machine we launched previously. Because our machine is built to be sent unattended, that also means we can innovate in terms of the business model. So rather than selling these machines and creating a very expensive capital purchase, which is usually around $20,000 per machine that these organ procurement organizations need to own, we're going to be offering this machine on a product as a service model, meaning we own the machine, we look after their maintenance, we always keep them ready. Similar to a car rental model, the organ procurement organizations who are our customers, there are 56 of them in the United States. They get use of the machine. They can, once they recover the kidneys, they can connect them to a pump and ship them with a regular courier to the kidney transplant center, who will have the comfort of receiving these kidneys in the best possible preservation. And once they're done with the machine, they'll send it back to us. We'll refurbish it and put it back in circulation. Next slide. Our team is unique and highly experienced. So on the right side, you'll see our serial development partners. Some of these folks have been working together for more than 20 years. So the Formation Design Group in Atlanta worked on the initial LifePort container and on a number of other machines. They do a lot of work with companies like Coca-Cola, and they do industrial design for a cargo base for Boeing. John Brassel at Functional Circulation, he's in Wisconsin, and he is the inventor of the LifePort, and he is probably the most patented person in the field of machine preservation. And we have our amazing engineering team here in Edmonton, led by Katie Cameron. They actually have come out of a company that was a University of Alberta spinoff called Tivasol, which created a product that was exciting enough that it got sold twice. And if you want to talk to Tivasol, then you have one Tivasol member over here in the audience, and I can introduce you. And my co-founder and CEO is Ron Mills. So he has been in healthcare for 40 years, launching numerous brands. And he has launched, including the strategic launch and the sales of the LifePort worldwide, taking the entire US market, and a number of other machines that were launched. And lastly, it's myself. So I've been in the innovation space for about 20 years, supporting innovators. And I've been on this journey with this amazing team for 3 years. I really won't bore you with this. This is a strategy, a go-to-market strategy. We've done this before. At the very highest level, because this is a very regulated market, we can create a mandate either commercially or to government that mandates these. Once there is a machine that can travel to where the kidneys go, we can actually create a mandate that forces the organizations to adopt the best possible preservation device, and we will be the only machine that can actually meet this mandate, and therefore it's more of a market pull rather than a push. I mentioned LifePort a number of times. The reason it's so amazing is that it was developed about 20 years ago, and it still holds about 95% of the US market. It's the leader worldwide. There are many machines that have taken a shot at it. Unfortunately, none of them have really advanced on the weaknesses of the LifePort. So there's this long sort of graveyard of machines that have taken a shot at it and have failed. Some are more recent competitors. Our team designed the machine. We're the right people to come back and take it to the next level. Competitively, right now, there are only two ways that kidneys really travel, one in an ice box and one in the life port. There is a new entrant in Paragonics who just launched their new machine this year. However, we will be the only machine that combines the benefits of ice transportation, which is just easy handling and unattended transport, with the proven clinical benefits of preservation. There are only 56 customers in the only market that matters, which is the United States. They're highly regulated. We have sold to this market before. And our approach to this is to drive usage. So because we are not selling capital equipment, we're using a standard razor blades model. It is that disposable set that gets utilized every time you have a transplant. That is sort of the moneymaker. It's sterile, so you can only use it once. And it's still a high price item. They sell for anywhere from $2,500 to $3,500, and at a high gross margin. And if you do a quick calculation of about 40,000 transplants times $2,500, that's $100 million of potential revenue. We usually don't go into the SAM-TAM SOM kind of approach. This is built all the way from the bottom up by segmenting the market. We know which customers to go after first, and how many disposable they would need, how many machines that we would need to keep them in service, and our business model is built sort of based on those assumptions. Sort of last but not least, this market might explode soon. So this sounded like science fiction a few years ago, but this was the first year when we are getting new sources of kidneys. So we've had first in human, genetically modified kidneys transplanted into a human. The transplants went well, and these very well-funded companies are now going into phase 1 clinical trials. So that might extend the market from, let's say, 90,000 people who are waiting for a transplant to 1 million people who would like a transplant if there was enough supply. All of these kidneys actually need to be transported, and pig kidneys were shown to be actually a lot worse in an ice box, so they need machine perfusion even more. And the market is also very acquisitive. So usually there's all these companies. Some of them we were previously sold to one of them when we took our company back. All of these companies are highly acquisitive, and there's ways in which our technology, so kidney transplant, fits very well into the portfolios of all these different targets for acquisition. This is our path to market. Since we started engineering around August, September, we already had a bench prototype. We submitted a provisional patent. Now we have a handling model that's going in the hands of customers. And by the spring, we're going to have an alpha prototype, and we'll be displaying it at 2 different trade shows in the US, the Organ Procurement Organization and Transplant Congress. We are raising $1.5 million of seed investment. That's US $1.5 million. We have collected in the bank just a little bit more than a third of that. And there are numerous people in our data room looking around. We still have that open, and that will take us all the way into the summer and into the trade shows. Yeah, just quickly to say, we're very, very lean and fast. The great majority of our funding goes into product development. And we're going to have a machine in a booth by the summer, and then go off and raise more money and go along the path towards FDA approval and commercialization. That's about it. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that, Daniel. Very informative and very interesting, all the technology that's coming out for all these different uses, right? So anyway, I'm going to open up the floor to questions, whether virtually or in the room. So please put your hand up if you have any questions for Daniel. Okay.
You say the US market is the only one that matters. Okay. But your competition may emerge from some other corner of the world. And so, you got to watch that space, I guess. What's happening in the other parts of the world where competition could emerge from left field? And what are you doing to prevent that or move into Europe or whatever?
I was trying to be short. And so the United States is the only sort of beachhead market that matters commercially. It is half of the entire global market. If you make it in the States, you'll make it worldwide. That's what we did with the Lifeport. There are global competitors. For example, XVivo is a company that's based out of Sweden. They're a global public company. They do have a kidney transporter. They're worth about more than $1 billion. We have been in this space for more than a couple of decades. So we like to think that we know most of the research centers and most of the places that organ perfusion does take place, all the way from the UK to parts of Europe. There are many places that, there's Brazil. So we have a good line of sight onto these competitors. And we just keep an eye on them. And we know that so far, for some reason, in the last 20 years, nobody's advanced this. So we're coming back.
Perfect. Thank you.